Well, welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. We've got a few things to get through. Kieran has got some work to do a bit later, and of course, he's been wasting his time watching Liverpool, haven't you? Even though that is Kieran, not Phil Foden. I just want to make that clear now. We don't have a special guest on. This is Kieran. Yes,
that'd be quite a high-profile guest, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he hasn't. Phil Foden hasn't grown a beard. This is Kieran Turner's just had a really awful haircut.
As I've explained, it's just because of the headphones.
This is what? So you had to have your hair cut badly for the headphones?
No. It does make me look more like a Cyberman, doesn't it? Now.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Yes, yeah. And I'll try and dress up like a Dalek next week. Yeah, nice. As you see, we don't fuss about what glass we're drinking the alcohol from in this house. This is port. Very nice. I love port. Quite happy to drink it from the bottle. Bit more sophisticated. I'm using a glass. Okay. Quite a few things to discuss. I don't know where to go from first. We, of course, have the excitement of the Caribou Cup final.
What cup final?
Caribou?
Carabao.
Well, all right, whatever. I mean, it used to be Coca-Cola, a lot easier then. And what else? I want to, on that topic, just touch the Chelsea issue about Mr. Owner. And, of course, the rules FIFA are coming up for with Russia. I don't want to get into the whole politics of, except Russia, well, we all know. No, it's not Russia. It's Putin. And I think that's an important thing. I think that's what we have to remember before we go into hysterics about certain people, etc. So where do you think we should start with that? With Wycombe, Chelsea and the owner, and FIFA, Liverpool match?
We normally start with Wycombe, but I was so depressed having seen the result that I didn't even watch the highlights of it.
Did you not? Well, all right, we'll start with Wycombe. We're not going to spend very long. This is, like I say, a really quickie. So we've actually got two games of Wycombe. We've got the one we lost during the week that I went to. We lost 3-1 to Wigan. And then along came Saturday, the game where we put everything right, and we lost 3-2 to Altrincham. Accrington. Does it matter?
Not really. The fact that we lost to a team that sounds like Accrington or Altrincham is pretty poor.
It begins with A. I mean, who cares? You know, Aylesbury next. Where do we go? Okay, start with the Wigan game. First things first, I did come out at the end of the Wigan game happier than I came out of drawing 5-5 with Cheltenham, even though we lost. That is because Wycombe played like Wycombe Wanderers against Wigan, at least for the first 60 minutes. Wycombe put the boot in. Wycombe fought for every ball. Wycombe won some. Wigan were very good. And Wigan eventually got on top of Wycombe and won the match, which was fair enough. With putting him down, we went back into the let's throw the ball rather than catch it and just push it out to one of their forwards to tap in the net. We had another goal like that. I even considered actually asking you to find all of those and put a string together so we can show everybody this season's goalkeeping mistakes that have all been the same of rather than put it to the side or catch it, roll it out and leave it in the 6-yard box for them. There was definitely one of them. The third goal, you could say too late by then, was just a shocker and Nobody knew what they were doing in the box. Haven't looked at it since Tuesday. Don't need to. All I remember was sitting there and laughing, thinking, my goodness, this is Division 1 football. And you watch the cup, whatever cup it is, Kieran. You watch the cup.
Just getting it right.
Yeah. You watch the cup and you look at how Liverpool and Chelsea played, and it's a different planet. I actually thought it's a different sport. It is. It's a different sport, isn't it?
Mm.
When people say, well, why do you want to watch Wycombe when you support a decent team like, I'm thinking, well, yeah, okay, Liverpool, Chelsea, maybe. And then you watch Everton. Different sport to the game I saw today. Today was just breathtaking and nail-biting 0-0. I mean, it was breathtaking. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So that was the Wigan game, and I thought Wigan put Wycombe in their place, in a fair place, and it showed what we don't have yet, but it also did show Wycombe's qualities.
We definitely did well for a good 60, 70 minutes, didn't we?
And I think it showed Wycombe's qualities as well. Shame we didn't keep it up for 90, which is what we've done previous. And then along came Saturday, where the big revival game against which team?
Accrington.
Good goal. Wycombe's first goal. Excellent first goal.
Yeah, it was very nice. In fact,
Wycombe's first goal against Wigan was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The takedown by Vokes on it. Are you impressed? I got his name.
Yeah, well done.
Took the ball. Yeah, I'm a bit in shock. Just a minute.
It's the alcohol that does it.
It is.
You're like Raj off the Big Bang Theory. You just remember people's names after drinking alcohol.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. I still can't talk to women.
No.
Don't have a problem talking to you. What? No. Shush.
Get in trouble, mate.
Yeah. Accrington. Crap pitch. Is that an excuse? No, I bet everybody uses that as an excuse. They had to play on it as well. Goals. Their goals.
Their first one was awful. I've just watched it.
What was it? It was a free kick.
That it just gets kind of taps towards the corner of the net for no.
The guy that jumps up and down and celebrates the goal, he doesn't jump up and down. I don't know if you notice when he scores, he didn't realise it'd gone in and he didn't realise he'd scored it. And that's what I don't think he actually did. I'm not convinced he scored it.
You think it was an own goal, do you?
Yeah. I think Grimmer scored it.
Could well have been. I mean, it bamboozled the goalkeeper enough that it probably could have been an own goal.
Yeah. So that was a dreadful free kick. Another one was a corner that they scored from. Was it the third one they scored from a corner?
It's just it's all the frustrating goals that Wycombe are conceding now that we never, ever would have done at the beginning of the season when we were, grinding games out 2-0, 2-1.
We're scoring goals. You cannot.
Oh yeah, we're scoring
front
goals.
Line. Cannot.
No, I'm not saying no. That's not what I said, fella.
No.
I'm saying we're scoring goals, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I imagine we must be one of the top scorers in the league recently. But some of the goals we're conceding are ones that we just never normally concede.
No, they're shit.
They're tragic. We can't even blame it on what our backline was on Saturday because it was our normal backline and it was a backline that we'd expected play pretty well with.
Yeah, a bit unlucky on Tuesday because Tafazoli did actually come on the pitch to start, and then injured himself in training.
Yeah,
But in the end, the actually having the guy number 30, being helped as a back four, he coped with it. But I don't know what to say other than I don't know what's gone wrong. It's easy to sort of, say it's his fault. It's his fault. I mean, Jacobson had a shocker on the Tuesday.
Jacobson has been one of the ones who has suffered as a result of this form.
I can't remember. Was that the week before? I'm thinking Jacobson had a shocker.
Yeah, he had a shocker during the 5-all, definitely. I don't think he did so much in.
Can't remember where he played the game after. It's I don't know. The games are just sort of whizzing past us, and you're saying goodbye, and it feels a bit. I mean, have we said goodbye to the playoffs? I think so.
Oh, probably.
We aren't getting playoffs, are we?
No, I mean, one of the things that we've always kind of associated Wycombe with is like the mentality, determination, passion, all that sort of thing. That has meant that this group of players that we don't normally associate with being at the top of League One have always done pretty well. They're now showing their actual kind of normal quality, which is lower ends of Division 1. Some of these players, anyway. I think you have to remember that our back line, Jacobson, Stewart, and who would be on the right side, potentially Grimmer, or someone. These were all players who are playing for us in League 2 and like mid-table League 2 as well. And there's probably a reason for that. But like our last year, 2 years has been so unbelievable, and they've been so very good because of the whole like togetherness of the team and all that sort of stuff.
It's the front lineup we've changed, isn't it? The front lineup is what's changed over the last 2 years.
Yeah, the defense hasn't changed at all, and it's always been very solid, but it's petered out.
It has.
In the last 6-7 games, very evidently.
It has. We need a new back line, don't we?
It's an old back line, and it has not been a particularly refreshed back line, maybe, in the last few years. Like, Jacobson's been there goodness knows how long, Stewart as well. And, of course, we've had to throw in Farino in there the last couple of games, since he's at the moment, definitely not cut out for it.
No.
Because he's getting bullied, quite frankly, by strikers.
We had somebody who put on the last comment. Do you ever read what people write? Probably.
No.
Paul made 1 or 2 comments, obviously, about me making comments about his, driving me to the games and,
Of course.
This person said, Ainsworth allergic to Mehmeti again. I'll be surprised if we make the playoffs. When I said start some of the younger players, because we made a comment on this, I meant midfielders and wingers, not centre-backs. You are allowed to comment, agree or disagree. Okay, start with Mehmeti. He isn't playing at the moment.
No. And as much as he has been pretty decent when he's been in the side, goals have not been our problem, to be honest with you. And so is he going to make much of a difference to the form that we've been in recently? I don't think he would.
You see, he's stuck on Wheeler on the Tuesday.
He's another one in poor form, isn't he? I think that's a bit too quick to write off a player like that, because he was one of our better players when we got promoted.
The problem is none of these players they're not getting play time. We're swapping and changing.
Spread out.
It's swapping and changing.
which obviously is a poor thing. And I think at the start of the season, we definitely had like an 11 that would start near enough every game.
Yeah.
Like we always had McCleary, Horgan, and Vokes up front.
Here we go.
It was
Come on then. Let's put our Wycombe team together. A Wycombe team that can score and then supply the nil at the end. Goalkeeper. Do we?
Well, we only have one choice, don't we?
Yeah, we've only got one choice.
Yeah.
So Stockdale in goal.
Back three of Jacobson, Stewart, and Tafazoli.
And you'd stick with a back three, would you?
It worked at the start of the season.
Yeah, but it has to be those three, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then
otherwise it rarely works.
Yeah, then your two wing backs.
Obita and Grimmer.
Again, I thought Obita played really well, I might add, on the Tuesday. Difficult to comment on Saturdays. Okay, then in the midfield,
Scowen, and you can normally take one of your pick, can't you? I've always liked Gape.
Gape was around, wasn't he, on Saturday?
Yeah.
So you'd put Scowen and Gape in there.
Mm-hmm.
What about Thompson?
It's very decent, but I think him and Gape probably do the same job near enough.
Okay, and then you need the three up the front, which is obviously Vokes.
McCleary, and Hanlon? You could have Hanlon or Kai, to be fair.
Who? Sorry?
You could have Hanlon or Kai. I think they do similar things.
Okay. So Stockdale, Tafazoli, Stewart, Jacobson, Grimmer, Obita, Scowen, Gape, McCleary, Vokes, Hanlon, or KK.
Kai. Yeah.
KK.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's our Wycombe. And so any injury with any of those, then, but you keep the rest.
Yeah. I think the problem is that there's not many positions in there in which, if we do get an injury, don't really change. Like, Eddie changed that kind of back three, makes it a much worse back three. Or always seems to anyway.
If you get that, then you just switch it to a back four. You take out Jacobson, you put a Obita and Grimmer at the back, and you stick in that young lad. And that's exactly what he did do against Wigan. So the other answer is then to, well, I don't know. Okay, well, we'll leave that. And that's we know what our lineup you stick to and only change when you have to.
That's what it has to be, doesn't it?
I think it's
that's how you get a consistent football team that continuously wins matches, to have the same.
And
team.
if not McCleary, you do have Mehmeti.
Would you swap front three? You could do. I think just from what I've always seen, McCleary seems to be a bit more reliable in terms of creating chances and scoring goals.
Yeah, because that's an interesting 60-minute swap. Yeah. Okay.
I just don't think Mehmeti's been as reliable this season. But,
Okay. Let's move on. The plus, at some point that I will put in, might even be now, very probably now, is somebody actually I'm going to see on Friday. just to say, everybody, no need to spend lots of money on my birthday, but it's my birthday on Friday, Kieran. And we're go up to London and go to a pub up in London and go and see one of my favourite people, and that's this person called A.A.Williams. This particular track is off an album that came out in 2020. 1920. Brilliant. The song's called All I Ask For, and so there we go. There's A.A.Williams, and have a listen. Moving on fast from that, did you get those images that I showed you?
Yes.
Okay. This is also going to be a fairly quick little sprint. Oh, no. We'll do this first. We'll just explain one or two of the managers and where they've gone. One or two of the managers. We've actually had 5 leave this week.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The first one is really quite entertaining in that Darren Ferguson has been gone from Peterborough. That was actually his 3rd stint there. He's been sacked now 3 times by Peterborough. He was there in 2007. He got sacked. 2011, he's been sacked from Peterborough, and now in 2022, he's been sacked from Peterborough. Do you reckon he'll get a 4th chance? His win rate was 44%, but they've brought in that guy that I suggested about one or two of the others, that Grant McCann. Guess what? This is his 3rd stint at Peterborough. He was there in 2015, there in 2016, and now in 2022. So this is the 3rd time he's been manager of Peterborough. And I'm sure when they sack him, they'll get somebody completely different, like Darren Ferguson. What is wrong with them? Why don't they just hold on to one for a while? The second one was Stephen Robinson from Morecambe. His win rate was 27%. They've brought in Derek Adams from Bradford. Well, he was at Bradford before he got sacked, with a win rate of 24%. So I don't really know what they're expecting. This Derek Adams, I thought Derek Adams was there in Morecambe before as well. I might be wrong, but I
was
thought
it Reading?
I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure he was sacked there from last year when then Stephen Robinson took over, but still. Then we got, you wouldn't believe it, Kenny Jackett has got the sack again. I mean, is this is only the 2nd time this season, is it? I don't know. He seems to come and go on a regular basis from every team. He's that was Leyton Orient who just got rid of him on a win rate of 26%. And the favourite manager to bring in Leyton Orient is Darren Ferguson. Oh God, to bet it. Doesn't it make you laugh? Isn't it rather pathetic? Then we have Keith Millen from Carlisle. He's off. That was his 2nd go at Carlisle. They seem to. I just don't think they've got enough managers to go round, so they keep re-employing them.
They're very loyal to their old managers, aren't they?
Yeah,
these teams.
He got sacked back in 2003 from Carlisle, and now he's been sacked again. And they brought in a guy called Paul. No, sorry, I've got that wrong. No, this is the first time Keith Millen was sacked. But they brought in Paul Simpson, who was sacked back in 2003. He was England's under-20s manager as well, I might add, Paul Simpson. So don't know what he'll be like. And then, of course, the one that we all know so well, Marcelo Bielsa from Leeds has got the boot finally. And the favourite is a guy called Jess Marsh. I don't know whether he's actually gone that yet, from Leipzig.
Not a clue.
Yeah. Feel a bit sorry for Bielsa, but it's his own fault. He needed to have changed the system, really. It didn't work. He worked in the Championship playing one-to-one, playing man marking, but I'm afraid you can't keep up with it if you play a better team.
Mm.
Man marking doesn't work.
Well, there's man marking, and then there's just having your team completely wide open, isn't there?
It causes chaos.
Yeah.
It's what it does. If you're not better than the opposition, it's chaos, is what it does. You ain't got a hope. And of course, Leeds in the Championship could win. Leeds in the Premier League need to dig in rather than go wild on a football pitch.
I mean, they have lost their last 2 games on an aggregate of 10-0, haven't they? So
he will leave as a hero, though.
Yeah, no, he's got.
As long as they can stay up, he will leave as a hero.
If they get relegated, then he's
then it's his fault. Yeah, we'll say that. It's his fault.
Yeah.
So that's 38 managers now gone. Not bad. Not bad. 38 so far this season. Okay, we're coming to what I thought was the interesting bit, the XG part of the program. This is, but it's not XG. It's not XG. Don't worry. Don't mention XG again. Will we? Now, I'm going to put a few charts up. We thank The Athletic for providing these charts.
We thank The Athletic for providing most things on this show, to be fair.
That's because it's the easiest place to get it from. Although I look at lots of different stat. There's one called Stat Bomb, and there's one called this, and there's one called that. And I go to lots, and that's where they often pick their stuff up from as well. So it's the easiest place to actually download it and do different things with it. Now I've got to find it on here. Here we go. Okay, what we're going to do, let me put this first chart up. Now, this is who controls which territory. I thought it was interesting that when you look at all these teams, I don't know whether people can get close enough. I think you're allowed to sort of zoom into different bits, I hope. You will see all the red areas. Remember, these are teams attacking from left to right. All the red areas are where the team have more touches than the opponent. Now, at first, it looks all complete mess. But in fact, looking at this, it can start to teach you a few things. And I think it looks quite interesting. For instance, let's head straight for top team Manchester City. Now, just to say that the corners are obviously going to be your opponents. That's why Manchester City have that one blue spot in the top corner, because why would Manchester City want the ball in their own half up in that corner? They wouldn't. Whereas the opponent would, and often take corners from that side or the other, and therefore have the ball longer in that part of the pitch. So that explains that. Of course, your goalkeeper will occupy his goal. So that's why, on the whole, except for when you get to West Ham. See, this is the odd one. Can you see West Ham's?
West Ham and Burnley.
And Burnley. Now, why do you think the opposition have the ball in that part of West Ham territory in their 18-yard box more than West Ham do? Don't you think that is very strange?
I mean, it has to be to do with their centre-back's positioning when they're playing out from the back. Yeah, they just doesn't go there.
Yeah. So this is helpful, isn't it? So what does that teach you? Look at West Ham, how and where. We'll deal with West Ham, really, because if you look, when Mr. Goalkeeper rolls the ball out or kicks the ball, where is it likely to go? How do they build up?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, looking at that chart.
Well, they go in front of their left-hand sides, or they go to the right.
Yeah,
but not
so it
but
builds,
not within their.
I reckon it builds up down the left-hand side, or it's belted to the right.
Yeah,
I think that would be a fair assessment. Looking at that, so these graphs actually do tell you something about how teams work. And you'll see the first thing they do, apart from owning their own 18-yard box, is they then start to put that 3 in front of the 18-yard box. That's where your centre-backs own that area. That's theirs. Now we can start to think, okay, who doesn't own that area? Burnley and Newcastle. How good are Newcastle's and Burnley's centre-backs? You have to say, dodgy. They don't.
Yeah,
they don't own that area.
I'd argue Burnley centre-backs are quite good, but not when playing with the ball. Defending wise, they're pretty good.
Right. So in fact, they don't own that area with the ball at their feet.
No.
But everybody else, oh no, Everton are pretty crap at it as well.
Yeah. As we said, Burnley are crap in general in terms of having the ball, aren't they?
Well, they are. I mean, yeah.
How many squares are there?
They take corners is about the only thing you can say about Burnley is they do take corners.
Of the 30 squares on the Burnley map, they own 4. Which is the complete opposite to City, who own 26.
So you own the centre backs, then own those squares in front, or try to, and then in we come to wingers. That's your next part of what you're trying to grab, isn't it? That's where teams like Watford break down, because teams like Watford and in fact Southampton on the right hand side aren't too hot either. And I would ask, how well do you know Southampton?
All right.
Do they, at which point, are just over the halfway line on the left-hand side? Do they put a lot of crosses in from there? Is this where they start to play the ball long?
I think so. They normally have Kyle Walker-Peters on as the right back, and they have Ward-Prowse just inside of him. And of course, Ward-Prowse is more of that kind of long ball, diagonal ball kind of player. And so I can't imagine they would have a lot of possession there because they'd give and go relatively quickly in those sort of areas.
Right.
Because I mean, as you can see with Southampton's, is that the left-hand side is where they have most of their fun, and that'll be from like Ward-Prowse diagonals across to their left back. And
other strange ones, I think, on that, and then you bring a few up, and that is, I think another odd one is Chelsea with that one square, because of course he doesn't have the corner on the left-hand side at the top, and then you got a red square, then a blank. Why has he got a blank there? Does he come in there and go round, or what? What happens? Why does he own that bit?
I mean, it could be anything, couldn't it? But you could say that that's where the left back picks up the ball. He plays it inside to his midfielder, and left back bombs up the pitch further along. I mean, they've got Alonso, haven't they?
Yeah,
And
that's Alonso that side.
Alonso is not one to kind of stick around the halfway line. He will go and bomb up forwards, which I
Right, so
assume
he leaves that
explains that.
patch. It's quite often people running through, and then he gets back and takes them
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
So
Similar,
he lets them have that bit.
yeah, more than likely. I mean, similarly with Liverpool, like Trent is evidently very high up the pitch because he's left two blue squares, in and around his own box because he's just not there.
Right. Another one that I think's interesting is Tottenham. It's perfect.
Yeah,
What? Who? I mean, that's perfect. You haven't got a clue what they're going to do. They use.
again, their fullbacks just go bomb up, don't they?
They do. They do. Um. So we're not going to spend much time on this. I thought that was interesting. But it does show that possession, because they're forever going on and on and on about possession, but it's where you have possession that counts. And I think that starts to give you a clue as to where possession starts to count. You can almost, I reckon, sort the Football League out following that, because it tells you who owns what and where. And therefore, you can start to see that Manchester City and Liverpool are top. Chelsea are third. You can start to see that this season, I might add. You can see Norwich, Burnley, Watford, and Everton are near the bottom. Because they own nothing. In the middle, then, it can vary. I mean, Southampton's doesn't look great, but it can vary then. But it clearly shows you the bottom four and the top three, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just based on that. And I think looking at that, I think you can use that to have a good old pick at what your team doesn't do right. Let's move on and look at, this was another thing that I thought was rather interesting. Aston Villa before and Aston Villa after Gerrard arrived. Got that one?
Not a lot of difference, is it? I'd argue
There's not a ton of difference. There's still slightly to the left, but only just. But that is where they're coming on strong on the left-hand side. Manchester United seem to have sorted a few things out, I would say. Manchester United before and after Rangnick, I'd say very similar, but they're starting to get over the halfway line and starting to control a little bit more in the opposition's half. That means I would say that their midfield are getting sorted. Newcastle, well, who knows? I mean, this was this was. I would say they haven't changed at all, really, in their style of football. But Norwich under Smith have. You would have to say they've started. This suggests they've started to improve. Do you think that's so?
Well, they got four more squares, haven't they? Two up on their wings, and then two in their own half. Maybe they're better keeping possession and having a bit more possession in and around the opponent's box. Not really in front of it, but more on the wings.
And you would also say here that Tottenham actually control less of the pitch under Conte than they did before. though they've been more effective with it. I think in the end, most striking is the way Aston Villa has totally vacated the left-hand side. They've given up on the left.
Which is weird
Gerrard.
because you don't get that impression, or well, you don't, because they have Luca Digne on that side. Coutinho normally operates on the left as well. So maybe they just, if they do have the ball, they do stuff with it very quickly as opposed to anything else.
Right. Okay.
Because I'd argue definitely they haven't given up on that side because they do quite a lot from it.
And last but not least, because we're not going to spend much time on this, here's your last one. And it's who controls the territory. But this is just an alternative from the first one. And this is if you remove all the dead ball deliveries, like corner kicks, and therefore you stick yellow in instead for anything you don't have more than 55% of. And so yellow is just a general nobody controls. I think that sort of changes things slightly. And this, if you want to then press hold and have a good old look yourself and see what you think yourself, then that's fine. I just thought this was interesting. Doesn't give you the answers, but I thought it was interesting. Did you think that was interesting?
Good stuff, mate.
Good stuff. Okay. Moving on then. We're nearly finished. We are really, aren't we? Two topics. One is Chelsea and Russia. Right. First of all, I want to answer why Abramovich has shocked English football by saying he's handing over. First of all, let's read what the statement said. It said, during my nearly 20-year ownership of Chelsea FC, I've always viewed my role as a custodian of the club, whose job it is ensuring that we are as successful as we can be today, as well as build up for the future, while also playing a positive role in our communities. I've always taken decisions with the club's best interest at heart. I remain committed to these values. That is why I am today giving trustees of Chelsea Charitable Foundation the stewardship and care of Chelsea FC. I believe that currently they are in the best position to look after the interests of the club, players, staff and fans. Is this good? And who owns Chelsea now? Simple. Is this for good? No. Let's deal with the second question. Who owns Chelsea? He does. Hasn't made a blind bit of difference. That Russian guy still owns 100% of Chelsea via a UK-based holding company called Fordstam Limited. It's still his. He is the boss. So what does giving stewardship and care mean? Well, it means absolutely nothing. It is not a legal term. He has done absolutely nothing. He's told us, if you like, for now, he's just going to step aside and let them run. But he's not signed any paper. He's not given any shares away. He owns the company and he can still phone them up and say, oi, I want you to do this. And they have to do it. He runs the company. He's made it sound like he's doing something, when in fact, he's done nothing. Okay? So, what difference, in theory, does this make? Because he hasn't handed any control over to anybody, okay? Now, people talk at the moment about him sort of sanctions and all this sort of stuff. But in the meantime, he wasn't sanctioned, remember, a few years ago in 2014 when Russia invaded the invasion of Crimea. He wasn't sanctioned. He wasn't sanctioned when the Russian Secret Service tried to murder the Russian agent in Salisbury in 2018. He wasn't sanctioned. Boris Johnson said, whoops, we made a mistake, basically. Don't quote me on that, but Boris Johnson actually, I think, made a mistake in not doing so. But it did mean that he lost his right to live here. And if you'd noticed in the last few years, in about 3 years, he hasn't been coming to watch Chelsea play football. I think he's only been to 1 or 2 games recently. Haven't seen him for ages. He doesn't go to watch football. And that's because he now has to live in Israel, and then he lived in Portugal, because he is not allowed to live in this country. But his businesses haven't been sanctioned. Now, there's a big argument. He would argue, well, he's not a close mate of Putin's, and he's not particularly close to the Kremlin, so why should he be? But that's what all businessmen would actually say anyway. That's what they'll all say. But what happens if we were to sanction him? Don't really know, is the honest truth, because it hasn't really happened before where something like a football team, the owner being sanctioned. It could, in theory, black and white, if they did everything they should do, if he was sanctioned, it would mean Chelsea could go into liquidation, because you're basically stopping him moving any money around Chelsea Football Club. He wouldn't be allowed to put money in or take money out. Chelsea Football Club would as good as go downhill and in trouble. That's if they did that to him like they're doing to other owners of different businesses. Okay? So are they going to do that? Who knows? This is what he's trying to stop. He's trying to go and hide under a carpet and let Chelsea Football Club that he owns, that he's still dealing with and doing all the money, he's trying to hope they just leave him alone now, and so he can go and hide and nobody can see him, and they'll just let it plough on. Because if they don't, you could find that actually if they keep to the law that they've sort of written out, Chelsea could be in real trouble. And that is why he's said what he said, even though it means nothing, because he doesn't want to sell it, he doesn't want to give anything up, but he also doesn't want Chelsea Football Club not being able to move any money around. Which, if they did sanction him, and they do say you can't, he'd have to sell.
I don't understand why, when they posted that on their social media, all the Chelsea fans were very, very thankful for, you know, what he's done for the club over the past 20 years in terms of how he's run it and everything. Because he's one of the people who is, I could be completely wrong in saying this, but like kind of funding what Putin's doing. Am I right in saying that? Like he's one of his, not right hand man, but like he's somewhat involved. Am I right in saying that?
Don't know.
Like, maybe that's good. Maybe that's getting a little bit too political, but
Yeah,
it's kind of what it made it sound like.
I don't know. He has links, doesn't he? He wasn't kicked out of this country for nothing. Remember, he says, I
No.
haven't been sanctioned before. No, but he was told to get out of our country. That's why he doesn't live here. That's why he doesn't come to all the games anymore. He had to move, and he now lives in Portugal. And in theory, they should sanction him. But will they? He's hoping they now don't. Interesting. Be interested to see what they do. And the other thing, the last thing on Russia and all that, we all know what we think. Football Union of Russia. Have you heard this one? This is a bit of a joke as well. I knew FIFA would climb onto a fence, and that's exactly what they've done. You know, Poland have said we will not play Russia. Sweden said we will not play Russia in the World Cup qualifying things, etc., etc. Well, they've come out and said we're taking a stand, thump thump thump, and have said no game will be in Russia. It has to be played on neutral ground, no crowds allowed, and they're not allowed to play under the name of Russia. They have to play under the name of the Football Union of Russia, as in they've done the Olympics to them. That's what the Olympic Russian team. But in the end, what have they changed, really? Changed their name? What difference it make? Take away the Football Union of, and it's Russia. Take away the word Wanderers, and it's still Wycombe. Don't make a blind bit of difference like that. And I'll be interested to see where these other teams go to with that information. They're hoping, again, like this whole thing with Chelsea, they're hoping that everybody will just sort of carry on and there won't be any fuss. And I think they're wrong. It's my personal opinion. I think they're wrong. You can argue, why should football, as per normal, always sort of be the political sort of, you know, jump up and down, it's supposed to be sport, blah, blah, blah. The fact is, I think in this case, I think really Russia should be banned. Admittedly, then you have the fun of going down all the countries in the world saying, well, I don't like that one because you do this. Don't like that one, you do this. Don't like that one, you're doing this. And hey, Newcastle, Chelsea, look where the World Cup's being held, blah, blah, blah.
You could kick anyone out, couldn't you, really?
Fun, isn't it? But to do this is just them, just FIFA being pathetic, actually, and not making a decision. They should turn around and say, no, they're still in it. This has got nothing to do with us, in which case there'd be uproar and they'd have to deal with all these teams refusing to play Russia, and then they're going to have to deal with that. Or they kick Russia out and they're scared. And last thing on the Russian thing, I thought it was interesting. Who was it? Was it yesterday? Manchester City player scored, went around, pulled his shirt up. He got booked, didn't he?
Aston Villa player scored.
He got fined. Oh, right. Yeah, he got fined for that. I thought he might be because I knew it was an offence. I get why he should be, because otherwise you're going to start having trouble and deciding, well, what is it okay for you to write and what aren't you allowed to write? And again, it's
because of the sponsoring, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyway, there we go. There's information is to pass that bit of news on. And then we'll actually get to the Liverpool game and then we'll finish. Okay? So, yeah.
Hope so. It's been an hour.
Has it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Polish FA insist they will not play the World Cup qualifier despite the new FIFA measures. Oh, there you go. FA announced England will not play international matches against Russia.
Even though we're not even meant to play Russia anytime soon.
No, but they've said that's that. Well, I think that'll do. That'll do for now. Tell us how Kepa is feeling after the final, and your take on the final of the Chelsea versus Liverpool Cup game.
I feel like the whole of the podcast has been leading up to this moment for me. Bless him. I think Kepa was brought on to do one job and he didn't do it very well. Actually missing the penalty.
He never saved a penalty.
No.
Out of 11.
Considering we had Kelleher take one, 18-year-old Harvey Elliott take one, Canates, whose penalty was awful.
They weren't all very good penalties, were they?
The first 7 or 8 for each team were fine, but then the last few were dodgy.
Yeah, from 7 onwards, I thought, right, here we go then. We've got the ones that can kick a football. Now we play who's going to miss first.
Yeah. The one that shot me the most was Van Dijk's, where Kepa is literally standing on that side of the goal. Van Dijk shoots on that side of the goal and he still crashes it past him. And Fabinho, who Panenka it after the second one, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, lots of should have been 5-5, quite honestly. It was a bit like Wycombe versus Morecambe, apart from none of these goals counted. How some of the one offside goal, I think it was against Lukaku when Lukaku scored, where his arm is out in front, and that's why he gave it offside.
That was close.
A bit like,
that was close.
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool are very good at doing this offside trap thing. I think we're like 60 in front of the team next who have got the
Chelsea
most offsides.
Aren't very good at staying onside, are they?
No.
That was a very big weak point.
Werner has one, didn't he, when he was offsides? Lukaku had one, and then Havertz, I think. I was confident that they would be offsides because I know that's what we normally do, and I know we're normally pretty good at that. But we were bricking it at times. Our goal that got disallowed. I'm not convinced it was. I'd be very annoyed. Well, I was very annoyed that it was given as a foul. I understand why they gave it.
Given offside.
It was given offside. Like, saying that he interferes, he literally stands there. I suppose he does interfere to an extent, but he doesn't really, does he?
He did have his arm. The player would have got the ball. I thought it was fair enough, actually. I thought that was fair enough.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced.
As soon as I saw it. Yeah. And I also thought Mr. Liverpool's high tackle, thought he got a little bit away with that. I thought they both deserved a yellow card. They both card.
It wasn't high enough to be. I think they were both going in for a 50-50 kind of ball, and one leg just accidentally gets tangled into the other. I don't think that was anything malicious, But in saying that, I do think we were flipping lucky to win that because I don't think we probably deserved it.
You
Considering
don't
how
think
many
you
chances they
deserved it?
created, how close they got.
Really? I'm
Not
interested.
really.
That's interesting.
Like based on how the game was played out and the number of chances that Chelsea had, like Mount missed 2 sitters, Pulisic missed one in the first minute. I know we obviously had the one with Mane that was a sitter, but apart from they could have scored a good 5, and on another day they would have won.
I thought it's all well and fine looking at Mr. Goalkeeper for missing his penalty and not saving any. But actually, I think it's Mount that should put his head down.
Oh yeah,
They didn't win because Mount didn't score any of his. It's the truth.
Yeah, he could have finished the game off after 55 minutes, realistically.
So that's Liverpool. That's one trophy. What else hasn't Klopp won? The FA Cup. He hasn't won the FA Cup, has he? And then that'll be it. His closet will be full.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And to be fair, though, would I rather he win something else other than the FA Cup? Probably. But if he gets all of them, then that'd be nice.
But anything. There's only 4 in the end.
Yeah.
And anything is better than nothing. And I always think that's a good start with the League Cup. And I've said before, and I'm always happy with Manchester City and their attitude too, and the League Cup and the FA Cup. And I'm also pleased that Klopp played the goalkeeper that deserved to play, having taken them all the way through. And I was pleased for that. So that's been a good weekend for you with Liverpool. Been a crap weekend for me for Wycombe. But I've got it now. I'm there now, and I'm just going to rely on Ainsworth to use the rest of the season to get his team back together and look at next year. I am not expecting to go up. I'm not going to cry. I'm not thinking about it in the going up thing. If we catch 6th spot, then so be it. But that's about. I'm really whatever.
As good as you're gonna get. It's can't expect anything.
Coming 8th is better than coming 22nd. Any of the other games that were this weekend you want to talk about? You had the Tottenham Leeds, Newcastle, Brentford, Burnley, Crystal Palace, United 0, Watford 0, Brighton 0, Aston Villa 2, and you have to mention the Everton, Manchester City, the handball, as so will everybody else. Do we really need to say anything?
I think everyone can work it out for themselves.
We don't need to say anything, do we? I give up. I give up. Yeah. Don't
know. I reckon that'll end up being quite a pivotal. 2 points at this stage for Liverpool and Man City is a lot of points. like it'll end up being a 1 or 2 between them potentially, and who knows if that will make a difference. But it very much could do.
Have to ask what the bloody hell's happened to Brighton. I think now he's got his new coat ready to be the England or Manchester United manager. He's buggered it up because he won't get the job.
He's kind of done like what Brendan Rodgers has done and has his good run of form, and people have started talking about him, and then they've kind of cocked up.
Yeah, and they're not talking about him anymore. No. Manchester United 0, Watford 0. Their manager or interim manager, you name him, not me.
Rangnick.
He's going to get the job of picking the next manager. Should he? Because he's shit.
No, to be fair, this
what?
one were players. They didn't do him much justice in this one because Ronaldo missed I think 3. Bruno missed a couple. Like
he was all.
I don't think that was
Bruno had a shocker.
Mm.
I don't get it. You've got a manager who, if successful, you want to employ as the manager. And if not successful, you don't want him to employ the next manager. You're on a loser, aren't you?
Yeah.
Either way, he's going to get a job you don't want him to have. Either you want him as your manager or you don't want him at all. You don't want him to have that job. So I think they've made a big...
He'll probably end up leaving.
An error there. What? Sorry?
He'll probably end up leaving anyway at the end of the season. I don't think United are going to be too bothered if he stays or not.
Will Burnley stay up? Crystal Palace 1, Burnley 1. Yes or no?
No.
Okay. And Newcastle will stay up. Good to see Buddy Boy on the pitch for Brentford. Amazing. That's just daft. Will he make a difference after a few games? I think possibly. And Tony is back. And I think that'll be interesting. Give it 2 games and I think they'll start to improve. Who the fiddles? Leeds 0, Tottenham 4. Was it because Tottenham were playing Leeds or was it because Tottenham were very good?
Probably because Tottenham were playing Leeds.
Right.
There's a reason he was sacked.
Yeah, agreed. And we'll actually find out as good as, won't we, when in their next few matches, when Tottenham have Everton, Manchester United, Brighton, West Ham, Newcastle, Aston Villa, and Brighton, and Brentford, and Leicester. I mean, and then they play Liverpool, Burnley, and Norwich. I would say that is a real easy run in there for the end of the season. They've only got a couple of problems in there, and if they can't make it out of that lot, then we'll find out how good they actually are. Okay, again in the background, just to say it's A.A.Williams playing, and I'm going to see her on Friday night up in London, at a pub in London. It's my 59th birthday. Goodness sake, you're all saying, "Blimey, is
Blimey, you are old, aren't you?"
Yeah, and in fact, I get a cheap season ticket next time, because at 60 you get a cheap season ticket. How about that? And will I be standing still? That's the question.
You won't be able to. You're 60.
That's true. Next game, can't remember. Does it matter? No, we just need to win.
Probably. Yeah.
That's Ainsworth's problem, who we're playing. It's me to worry about whether we win or lose. We're going to win. Prediction, who are we playing? Any idea?
Not a clue.
Excuse me, everybody. Nor have I. Right, we'll work on the theory that Wycombe are going to win anyway.
2-1.
2-1. We're going to let the ball in there, aren't we?
Yeah.
But we can score goals. So 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. Yeah, we're going to win. No, I'm just going to say we're going to win. And okay, Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And I'll say goodbye.